Brilliant. And we do have somebody. So hello, Simon. Thank you for saying hello. We know that people are there. So that's great. Let's start off by talking a little bit about what is worthwhile about content marketing. Let's build the case for content marketing before we tackle, the skeptics and the arguments against it.
So I think one of the biggest ones about kind of content marketing is actually that it's a way of positioning yourself as a thought leader, getting your views out there, getting your projects, getting known for what you want to be known for. And I guess it's that whole thing around that kind of brand and building it yourself rather than letting others build it for you. So what do you want to put out into the world? And I think that's really important because it's kind of like that is how people are going to get to know you, like you, trust you, but also to keep you front of mind, which we always kind of talk in marketing terms as in front of mind. You stay front of mind so that actually when I want to buy, I think of you. And I think that's kind of how content marketing works. It's about kind of nurturing people in that relationship. And actually the LinkedIn kind of B2B Research Institute has put out a stat around some of their in their reports, and I'll put some links into it in the comments after this episode. But basically they've got stats around, only 95% of the market isn't in a state to buy. So that means that 5% of your actual target market are actually ready to buy. So how do you keep them warm? How do you keep them kind of going until they suddenly are ready to buy and they're in that 5%? And that is where content marketing is that valuable tool to help you do that. And I think that's the kind of most important part for me, is that it keeps you front of mind, gives you opportunities. But also, I mean, for me personally, I had a thing where I wrote a piece of content 3.5 years ago, and then a Times journalist contacted me because they saw it on LinkedIn. They were doing a search on Google, came up at the top, and actually I got featured in the Times. That's from a piece of content I wrote 3 years previously. So I think that kind of opportunity as well as leads are important. Over to you, Stacey.
Yeah, I completely second all of that. I see content as a conversation, as a narrative with your existing clients and with potential clients. It's about nurturing that relationship. As you say, it's sort of top of the funnel. People aren't ready to buy. It's about keeping that channel open. And as you mentioned, there's a practical element here. If you're adding content to your website, it's good for SEO. That content is sitting there. People will find it. And it's all part of your brand building. And it leads to stuff, as you've highlighted. It's not just about the hard wins, the business sales, the people wanting to work with you and the services. That is part of it. But it leads to speaking opportunities. It leads to networking opportunities. It opens the door offline just as much as online, I think, anyway. So that, I think, is a pretty good case. That's our case. The case for the defense of content marketing. So how do we convince the skeptics?
I mean, I guess I've worked in house too long and I'm a bit too kind of old. And I have to admit, I just don't bother trying to win skeptics over directly, because I kind of think I'd rather spend my energy and focus on people who want to do this. I think the worst thing you can do is have somebody who doesn't want to be on social media, doesn't want to create content, having them and forcing them to post, because it comes across like it. You want someone who wants to be there and wants to engage and wants to do this and is open to, I guess, having a conversation, putting themselves out there. And I think for me, I kind of think, don't waste your energy. Find the ones who are keen in your organization. They might not be right at the top, but actually, and then as a marketeer, it's my job to work with them, give them what they need so that they can really fly and that organization can fly. And then, you know what, make sure you track it. You've got the metrics, and report that back and share their wins with other people. Because you know what, that's how you win those skeptics over, when you show this does work. Oh, look, they're having a conversation here. Oh, look, they're being invited to speak. You just keep that drumbeat of, oh, look at this win. Make sure you share that on the intranet. Make sure you share that in those business meetings to make sure that you show the value and demonstrate what it is bringing and how it's raising that person's profile, because that is the best way to convince a skeptic. Don't waste your energy directly on them, because you might never win. But yeah, you can do that. And also, I think there's also a thing about also finding those quick wins as well. If there are things, and, can you do a quick corporate training with, the person who's doing really well, showing the others and actually showing how they're using it and things like that. And I think those kind of in-house trainings that you do, whereby you have, a lunch and learn or whatever kind of thing your organization's doing, do that as a way to kind of turn around and kind of get people up to speed on the power of what's going on LinkedIn and really what you can do. And also, I always find in a training session, show them what their clients are doing and that their competitors are interacting with their clients. That soon focuses the mind.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think the metrics are important because, you can, obviously there are the sort of the standard sort of views, clicks, all of that. But it's all those other metrics like the speaking opportunities, the, how it's elevated, someone in a certain position. I'm thinking about, thought leader and sort of persuading sort of particularly senior members of the team to get involved and maybe sort of get involved in doing sort of thought leader and comment pieces. I think there's an element of, what do you want to be known for? How do you want your personal brand and your business brand to be represented? And you can do that through content. You can position people, play to the ego a little bit, position them as a topic expert, as a subject expert in a particular area. And you can do that very effectively through content. But it is very much a slow burn. And I think that is the battle you have in persuading people, is there aren't any quick wins. As the stat that you gave at the beginning, 5% are ready to buy. You can't sort of immediately lead to go, oh, look, we've done some content and from that we got sort of, this many sales. It's something that you have to build gradually over a period of time. And that can be quite tricky. Because it's not like an ad, is where you can sort of demonstrate how many clicks on ads and sort of what that actually led to. So I think you're right, Ayo. It's about appealing to the ego and saying, well, these are the benefits. We've all got ego. There's ego in all of us. We all want to know what's in it for us, and you've got to demonstrate what's in it for the individuals and for the team. And as you say, telling people to get involved isn't going to do that. You've got to show how it. Yeah, awful. You've got to show that. So that would be what I would say.
Totally. And I guess onto kind of our final question. Good, we're whizzing through this today. We're actually doing on time. So how to boost content visibility with employee advocacy? I guess, can you explain what employee advocacy is first, as I can't even say it?
Well, sorry, it was my fault. I put the term in, which is really bad when you're a writer and you talk about simplicity.
It's a great term.
Yeah, and it's about sort of, if you're putting content out, getting your employees to get involved, to be sharing that content, commenting on LinkedIn, that could be commenting, sharing, engaging with it, because engagement boosts content. And, the more people that are engaging with it, the more it's going to get seen. That's unfortunately how the algorithm works. So, and I think this comes back to your point, Ayo, about, telling people you must you must share these company posts that we're putting out. It's not going to work. So I think so that's employee advocacy, is how you harness that, how you encourage people to engage with your content and use the people in your business to share content. And it's not just LinkedIn. It could be, if you've put sort of articles on your website, how you can encourage them to share and get involved in that. So hope that explains employee advocacy.
You did a really good job there. Thank you. No, because it's just one of those terms which I think and it's also that, just considering the whole thing around people do business with people. And we're starting to talk more about human to human marketing. And that's the thing around, we're more likely to buy because you believe a person or someone, or you get a referral recommendation from a person than you are from a company or organization. And I think there are some stats in LinkedIn, which I forgot to pull out, which were around the whole thing of like people, you know, like your personal profile posts, you know, are amplified 3 times as much as your kind of company posts. So there is this whole thing around how can you get, you know, the best of both worlds as an organization. I understand the risks of just pushing personalities and individuals because they could be poached, right? I mean, that's true, right? But there is this thing about how do you get the right interplay between your company page and those personalities and use them both in a way that kind of works. And I think that is, if you can find that sweet spot, then you're kind of getting the traction on both sides. So what role does your company page play? It might be that your people then always comment on that company post, but then do their own variation or their own flavor on the post in terms of the image they share, the content they use, the hashtags they use. So you can have a strategy where your actual central team is producing the content, but then gives people the flexibility on how they use it. And I think that is how you can really boost what you're doing as a company on LinkedIn. And that's the kind of most powerful way of doing it. But there is also a thing around training people on what best practices as well. So how do you train people so they understand the latest kind of craziness on LinkedIn, because it's always changing, as you and I know. And it's just kind of knowing, or even knowing all the features on LinkedIn, because lots of people don't know there's LinkedIn audio rooms, there's LinkedIn newsletters, there's all these things where, you know, LinkedIn has got tons of stuff, but people don't even know that they're even there. So I think it's just, you know, training people on what's there, what you can use, what's the latest thing with the algorithm, which is always changing, but just to give people that know-how on how to get the most out of it. Sorry, over to you, because I keep talking.
No, that's all right. No, I think that's a very good point about giving people agency. You know, giving people agency, you know, I think particularly with LinkedIn, it comes back to what are the goals? Are the goals that you want visibility on your company stuff? Is the goal that you want people posting more on their personal posts? Is the goal that whether you want people engaging with your content? I mean, and all these are, you know, legitimate goals, and you'd approach each one differently. But taking like, you know, the company posts and engaging with company content, if people are adding their own spin on it, it's an opportunity for them to demonstrate their knowledge and their expertise. And that's part of the overall business brand, you know, rather than just sort of going, everybody must comment on this post and people just like, you will just like it, or they'll just write 2 words, great post, or something really kind of, you know, doesn't really have value. But actually, if people are making a meaningful comment, adding to the conversation, you know, getting a conversation going in the comments, showcasing their knowledge and their expertise and how they fit into the bigger equation, then I think there's a benefit that you can demonstrate to them. And again, it comes back to your previous point, Io, and actually showcasing the people that are doing that well and getting results from doing that. So you've got to demonstrate what's in it for the people that are getting involved. You know, that using a hard stick and saying you must do this, and you know, even if you've got blog posts, or thought leader articles that you're putting on your website, you can. If you want to encourage people to share that, again, they can share that on their social media channels, but add their own spin on it and add something to, you know, the tweet of X, if you're still using that, or, you know, whatever other channels you are using. It's about giving people that reason to do it. What is their goal in this? How do they benefit, and what do they get out of it?
And there's also, I guess, there are tools that you can use to help you as well. So like, you know, you can use you can have a Trello board, for example, where, you know, you have different variations on posts that the people in the business who are posting can access and use, or, you know, and there are also proper tools which are about kind of sharing for organizations, of which I can't remember. There were a couple, I'll put some links in them. I'll find some after this, but there are things like that can kind of help you in terms of that employee advocacy tools that can help organizations, I guess, to manage their army of people who are going to post onto social media. So I think that's kind of another thing to kind of have in mind, is that there are ways to make it easier. right? Not we, you can acknowledge that people are busy. But I think also it does also, if you want people to be involved, then, make it part of your business, make it part of their objectives, make it also give them time. There is time allocated. So it's not like me having to do it on the evening on a Sunday night. It's like, actually, we know this is valuable to our business. And there is a time, a code, and, have visibility from your senior leaders saying, we're doing it, you should be doing it. If this is how we see it's helping our organization. So you need those advocates as well to help kind of show this is a behavior that we value and we know the value of it. But again, it's back to the thing around having the metrics and showing why, and the qualitative kind of and quantitative stats as well, but also, how it's actually helping your business. So I think it's all a big circle in a way. It's all about kind of how do you build this so it works.
And there are other benefits to individuals getting involved in a platform like LinkedIn that might more be directly, related to other things. So I think it's important to sort of sell what the wider benefits are. So, for example, if they're active on LinkedIn, if they're getting involved in, content, even if they're doing their own content, that can open the door to networking opportunities for them building their network. LinkedIn, we should be getting on commission from LinkedIn, I think, as we keep talking about it. But you can learn an awful lot, and I don't think people realize this, that it's not just a case of jumping on a platform like LinkedIn and sort of liking a company post or writing a comment and then going away again, but actually spending a bit of time on the platform, getting involved in conversations elsewhere outside, around the industry that you're in. And that can really boost visibility for the individual, but also for the business brand. And it gives, it boosts connections, builds a network, and you can learn, and individuals, you can learn. I've learned so much just from spending a little bit of time on LinkedIn and looking what other people are up to. So I think there's that element, rather than it's just being purely about let's elevate our company content, our company brand. Is actually all these other benefits that you can set out for people as a reason why to be on the platform, that there are more reasons beyond just making sure that the company post reaches more people.
But it's funny that you're actually building on that. There is something I used to do when I used to work in house, and I used to brief CEOs going off to meetings. One of the things I used to do was actually go on LinkedIn, look who they were meeting, look who they're connected to, look who they have in common, what have they posted. I used to build a whole profile on that person, and then I could brief my boss on that. And it's kind of using LinkedIn in a different way, what topics they're interested in, what are they commenting on, and you can actually build up quite a lot of knowledge on somebody. Okay, but sometimes you have to put it in privacy mode so you don't look like a complete stalker. But but you can actually build up really good profiles that then help you to do your job. And I think people aren't necessarily using LinkedIn for that. And I used to find that fascinating. You could find out so much stuff. You'd be like, actually, they do this. They're really into that. Look, they're connected to such and such, and all of that stuff. And it just gives them that. They go into that meeting and they're like, oh, hi, and they're a lot more confident. So I think, there's a whole, raft of ways you can use it as well. So yeah,
it opens doors to conversations, but it's about how you sell it. Now, we don't have any questions. That's fine. No. It's okay. We don't mind. But so let's finish off on our final tip. Io, do you want to go first?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, I'll go first while you think of a final tip. I actually wrote two down, and I don't know which one to go. Shall I do both? We'll give you more time to think. Sorry. Final two tips. One of them is keep track of all the direct and indirect results. I know Io, you've already mentioned this, so you have that folder dossier of evidence to support your content marketing. And the other thing I would say is, if somebody point blank, if I'm thinking about sort of getting people in the business involved in creating content, so this might be, through thought leader, that kind of stuff. If someone point blank refuses to do one particular type of content, think about, is there a different format that they might be more interested in? And I know this is something that we've talked about on previous B2B comms breakdowns. But say, for example, if somebody doesn't particularly like write, you want people to write thought leader articles or write posts, blog posts, but that's not their thing. Would a video be better for them, or would an audio be better? Are they better talking about it? So, maybe think about the format. That was a very long-winded tip. Sorry. I'm hoping that's given you enough time to think.
That's given me more than enough time. I have one now. And
Good.
I think my one is around making sure that the person who you want to be on producing, getting involved in content marketing, what's their driver? What do they really want to achieve? And it's not just in marketing, but actually overall. And then actually thinking back to how content marketing and visibility can help them achieve that. Because then that's so much easier to convince a skeptic and understanding, because actually you're talking their language, you're talking about the things that they care about and that they're incentivized to kind of drive for. So, if it's like, we've got to be working with these 5 practices, then you think about, how can we use content marketing to really target those 5 practices? And like just thinking about that and then building back from there with your messaging and kind of how it is they should be and why they should be involved. There you go. That's my tip.
Brilliant. Well done. And you thought of that on the hoof. Brilliant.
No, I'm going to lie down. Cool.
So thank you for joining. We really appreciate all those. And thank you for commenting, Simon and Ruth, for being there and letting us know that people were watching. We're going to be back on the 22nd of September. We haven't decided on a topic yet. If you do have an idea, let us know. We have a few ideas, but obviously we're always open to ideas. I mean, the idea for this came from a comment that was made on a previous B2B Comms Breakdown. But keep an eye on our LinkedIn feeds and newsletters, because we'll be announcing the details for the next one in there.
Brilliant. And if you are watching us on replay afterwards, just put a hashtag replay in the comments and we'll say hi. And if you've got any questions, then just feel free to put that in and we will check back in the feed and respond to you. And that's it from me, really.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Bye.